The USS Heritage drifted through the dark emptiness of the Void Nebula. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the swirling purple clouds outside. His ship was small compared to the massive vessels of other alien species. Humans had only joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago. Most aliens still thought of them as weak newcomers who barely knew how to travel between stars. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings," said Lieutenant Ben Richards from his station. The young officer's face showed confusion as he stared at his screens. "There's something big out there. Really big." Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her research station. She was the ship's expert on old alien cultures and technology. "What kind of readings, Ben?" "Metal. Lots of it, but it's not moving." Ben's fingers danced over his controls. "It looks like a space station, but my computers say this area has been empty for millions of years." Captain Morrison walked over to look at the screens. "Show me." The main display lit up with sensor data. A massive structure appeared on the screen, floating in the dark between two purple gas clouds. It was huge, easily 10 times the size of their ship. "My God," whispered Dr. Carter. "Look at the design. Those curves, those angles. I've never seen anything like it." Commander Amy Sullivan, the ship's first officer, frowned at the display. "Could be a trap. The other species don't trust us much. Maybe someone left this here to test us." Morrison shook his head. "No, look at the metal. It's old. Really old." He turned to his crew. "Take us closer, but keep our weapons ready." The Heritage moved slowly toward the ancient station. As they got closer, the structure became even more impressive. It was shaped like a giant ring with spokes reaching toward the center. Strange symbols covered its surface. "Captain," Dr. Carter called out, her voice excited. "I'm scanning the metal composition. This station is at least 50,000 years old, maybe older." "That's impossible," said Amy. "The Galactic Council has only existed for 40,000 years. Nothing should be older than that." Ben's station started beeping rapidly. "Captain, I'm detecting power sources inside the station. Whatever built this, some of it is still working." Morrison made his decision. "Amy, take a team over there. Lisa, you go with her. I want to know what we're dealing with." An hour later, Dr. Carter's voice came through the radio from inside the station. "Jake, you need to see this. We found a sealed vault. The technology here is incredible." "What kind of technology?" Morrison asked. "Ship designs, star maps." "And Jake, the weird thing is, some of these symbols look familiar. They remind me of old Earth languages, but much older." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying humans built this?" "I don't know. But whoever built this knew about Earth. There are star charts here that show our solar system, but Earth is marked with a symbol that means colony world in the old language." Amy's voice joined the conversation. "Captain, there's more. We found what looks like ship blueprints. These vessels are massive, bigger than anything the Council has now. And the weapons..." She paused. "Sir, if these designs are real, these ships could destroy entire fleets." Morrison's mind raced. If humans had built this station, it changed everything. Humans weren't the young, weak species everyone thought they were. They might be the descendants of something much older and more powerful. "Lisa, can you activate any of the technology?" "I'm trying. There's a central computer system, but it's locked behind some kind of security system." "Wait." Static filled the radio for a moment. "I got something. Jake, there are coordinates here. Lots of them. It looks like there are more stations like this one hidden throughout the galaxy." Ben suddenly called out from his station. "Captain, we've got company. 3 Council patrol ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're heading this way." Morrison cursed under his breath. If the Council found out about this station, they would take it away from humanity. The other species already didn't trust humans. This discovery could make things much worse. "Amy, Lisa, get back here now. Grab whatever data you can carry. But Captain, we need more time. There's so much here." "Now," Morrison ordered. "Ben, prepare for emergency jump. Set course for human space." As the away team rushed back to their ship, Morrison watched the Council vessels approach. They were hegemony ships, belonging to one of the most aggressive species in the Council. The hegemony had never liked humans joining the galactic community. Dr. Carter and Commander Sullivan made it back to the Heritage just as the hegemony ships came within weapons range. Morrison didn't wait for them to ask questions. "Jump now," he ordered. The Heritage disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the ancient station behind. In the ship's databanks, they now carried information that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But Morrison knew they had to be careful. The wrong people learning about this could start a war. As they traveled back to human space, Dr. Carter worked on translating the data they had collected. The more she read, the more amazed she became. "Jake, this is incredible," she said, showing him a translated document. "According to this, humans had a vast empire spanning thousands of star systems. We weren't just another species. We were the dominant power in this part of the galaxy. What happened to them? To us? Civil war. The empire tore itself apart about 60,000 years ago. The survivors scattered across the galaxy. Some went to Earth, others went to distant worlds, and they left these stations and hidden fleets behind, waiting for the day when humanity would be ready to reclaim its heritage." Morrison stared at the data. Everything he thought he knew about human history was wrong. Earth wasn't humanity's birth world. It was just one colony among many, and somewhere out there, hidden in the dark spaces between stars, ancient human warships waited to be awakened. "What do we do with this information?" Morrison asked. Dr. Carter looked at the star charts showing dozens of hidden locations. "We wake them up, Jake. We wake them all up. It's time for humanity to come home." The Heritage continued its journey through hyperspace, carrying secrets that would reshape the galaxy. Behind them, the ancient station waited in the void nebula, its mysteries only partially revealed. And across the galaxy, other stations and fleets slept in the darkness, waiting for their descendants to find them. The age of humanity's return was about to begin. 3 weeks after their discovery, Captain Morrison stood in the secure briefing room on Earth's military base. Admiral Helen Brooks sat across from him, studying the data they had brought back. The older woman's face showed disbelief as she read the reports. "You're telling me that humans once ruled half the galaxy?" Admiral Brooks asked. Dr. Carter nodded from her seat beside Morrison. "The evidence is clear. These star charts show human colonies on over 3,000 worlds. The technology we found is more advanced than anything the current Galactic Council has." Dr. Paul Martinez, Earth's top expert on alien technology, looked up from his computer tablet. "I've been studying the ship designs. These vessels are incredible. Their weapons could punch through any current shield system. Their engines are at least 100 years ahead of our best technology." Admiral Brooks leaned back in her chair. "And you think we can actually build these ships?" "We don't need to build them," Morrison said quietly. "According to the data, they already exist, hidden throughout the galaxy waiting to be activated." The room fell silent. The idea that massive human warships were floating in space waiting for them seemed impossible. "There's something else," Dr. Carter added. "I've been studying the activation codes we found. I think I can wake up one of the ships. There's a cache location only 2 days from here." Admiral Brooks made her decision. "Take the Heritage and a small escort fleet. If these ships are real, we need to know about them before the Council does." 2 days later, the Heritage and 3 escort ships dropped out of hyperspace near a small asteroid field. According to the ancient charts, one of the hidden fleets was somewhere among these rocks. Lieutenant Ben Richards ran his sensors over the asteroids. For an hour he found nothing. Then his equipment picked up something strange. "Captain, one of these asteroids isn't an asteroid, it's metal, covered in rock, and it's massive." Dr. Martinez worked with the activation codes while Amy Sullivan kept watch for other ships. They were in empty space, but the hegemony had been asking questions about human activities lately. "I'm sending the wake-up signal now," Dr. Martinez announced. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the fake asteroid began to crack. Pieces of rock fell away, revealing the dark metal underneath. As more debris cleared, they could see the shape of an enormous ship. The vessel was unlike anything in the current galaxy. It was sleek and powerful, covered in weapons that looked deadly, even after 60,000 years. Along its side, words appeared in glowing letters. Terragard Vessel Defiant. Ben's voice was filled with awe. Captain, that ship is 4 kilometers long. It's bigger than anything the Council has. Suddenly, a voice came over their radio. It spoke in English, but the accent was strange and old-fashioned. Unknown vessels, this is Captain AI Unit 7 of the Terragard Vessel Defiant. Please identify yourselves and state your authority to activate this fleet unit. Morrison looked at his crew in amazement. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Vessel Heritage. We found the activation codes at Station Alpha. There was a pause. Then the voice returned, sounding more interested. Human vessel, please, transmit genetic and cultural verification data. Dr. Carter quickly sent over human DNA samples and historical records from Earth. Verification complete, the AI announced. Welcome home, descendants. I have been waiting for your return for 59,743 years. The ancient ship's lights came on and it moved closer to the Heritage. Morrison could see that its weapons were powering up, but they weren't pointed at his ships. AI Unit 7, what is your status? All systems operational. Weapons at full power. I am ready to serve humanity once again. Captain Morrison, I must inform you that this is only one ship of my battle group. There are 11 more vessels in this cache, and dozens of other caches throughout the galaxy. Dr. Martinez nearly fell out of his chair. Dozens of caches, how many ships are we talking about? The final count before the Great Sleep was 237 Terragard vessels, plus support ships and orbital weapons platforms. All were designed to awaken when humanity was ready to reclaim its place among the stars. Admiral. Brooks's voice came over the radio from Earth. She had been listening to the conversation. AI Unit 7, this is Admiral Helen Brooks, Commander of Human Military Forces. What can you tell us about our ancient empire? Admiral Brooks, humanity once controlled this entire spiral arm of the galaxy. Our technology was the most advanced in known space. Our fleets kept peace among the younger species. But internal conflicts led to civil war. Rather than see our empire destroy the galaxy, our leaders chose to scatter our people and hide our fleets until a future generation could use them wisely. Morrison felt the weight of history settling on his shoulders. What about the other species? The current Galactic Council? Many of them were our allies or protected species when the Empire existed. Some have forgotten this history. Others remember and fear our return. The hegemony in particular worked to erase human historical records after we disappeared. Amy Sullivan checked her sensors. Captain, we've got problems. Hegemony ships just dropped out of hyperspace. 6 heavy cruisers and they're moving fast. The AI's voice became cold and professional. Hegemony vessels detected. These ships match old enemy profiles. Captain Morrison, do you wish me to engage? Morrison's mind raced. If they fought here, there would be no hiding what they had found. But if they ran, the hegemony would know about the ancient ship. AI Unit 7, can you handle 6 cruisers? Captain, I was designed to fight entire fleets. 6 cruisers are not a significant threat. The hegemony ships were close now, their weapons charging. Morrison made his choice. Engage the enemy, but try not to destroy them completely. We don't want to start a war. Understood, Captain. The Defiant moved forward with smooth grace. Its weapons fired once, sending streams of energy that cut through the hegemony shields like they weren't there. The enemy ships fired back, but their weapons barely scratched the ancient vessel's armor. In less than 5 minutes, all 6 hegemony cruisers were floating dead in space, their crews alive, but their ships completely disabled. Morrison stared at the display in shock. The most powerful ships in the hegemony fleet had been defeated without the Defiant even working hard. AI Unit 7, how many people know about human activities in this area? Scanning hegemony communication logs now. This patrol was investigating unusual energy readings. They have reported their findings to Hegemony Command. Admiral Brooks, I suggest you contact your government immediately. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity has returned. As rescue ships moved to help the disabled hegemony vessels, Morrison realized that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer the weak new species in the Galactic Council. They were the descendants of the galaxy's former rulers, and they had the ships to prove it. The question now was what they would do with that power. President Kate Johnson sat in the emergency cabinet meeting on Earth. The news from Captain Morrison had reached them an hour ago. Around the table, her advisors looked shocked and worried. "So we have ancient warships?" asked General Sam Torres, the military's top strategist. "Ships that can defeat the hegemony's best vessels?" Dr. Carter appeared on the video screen from the Heritage. "Mr. President, it's more than just ships. We've activated 12 vessels so far, and each one has an AI that remembers our old empire. They're sharing historical data with us. We're learning about colonies, trade routes, and technologies that we lost 60,000 years ago." "What about the other species?" President Johnson asked. "How are they reacting?" Admiral Brooks answered from her command center. "The hegemony is furious. They're calling for an emergency council meeting. But we're also getting strange messages from some of the older species. A few seem to recognize what's happening." On the screen, an old alien appeared. This was Velkar, one of the galaxy's most respected historians. His people, the Wanderers, had been around for over 100,000 years. "President Johnson, may I speak?" "Of course, Velkar." The old alien's voice was thoughtful. "My people have legends about the first builders. We thought they were myths, but now I understand. The first builders were humans. Your ancient empire built the hyperspace routes we still use today. You created the peace that allowed our civilizations to grow." President Johnson felt dizzy. "Are you saying we've been here before?" "More than that," Velkar continued. "When the human empire fell, my people helped some of your refugees reach distant worlds. Earth was one of those refuge worlds. You are not newcomers to the galaxy. You are the children of its former protectors." Dr. Carter's voice came from the Heritage. "Mr. President, the AIs are confirming this. Earth was designated as a protected colony world. The humans who went there were told to forget their past and start over. It was meant to keep them safe while the galaxy healed from the Civil War." General Torres leaned forward. "How many of these ancient ships are out there?" 237 major warships, Admiral Brooks replied. "We've activated 53 so far. Each one is more powerful than anything in the current galaxy. And they're all loyal to humanity." President Johnson rubbed her temples. "What do the AIs want us to do?" Dr. Carter checked her notes. "They're asking for orders, Mr. President. They say they've been waiting for humanity to return and reclaim its place, but they won't act without human authorization." Before anyone could respond, alarms started ringing. General Torres answered his emergency phone, then looked up with a grim expression. "The hegemony has attacked one of our outer colonies. 3 planets are under assault. They're demanding we surrender our ancient ships or they'll destroy every human world." President Johnson stood up. "How long until our regular fleet can respond?" 8 hours for the closest ships. "But Mr. President, our regular fleet can't match hegemony firepower. We'll lose." Admiral Brooks's voice came over the speakers. "Mr. President, I have 47 ancient ships activated and ready for combat. They can reach the colony worlds in 2 hours." The room fell silent. This was the moment that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. President Johnson thought about the millions of humans who would die if she did nothing. She thought about the ancient empire that had once protected the galaxy. And she thought about the responsibility that came with power. "Admiral Brooks, you are authorized to engage. Protect our colonies." "Yes, Mr. President." 2 hours later, the Heritage and a fleet of ancient human warships dropped out of hyperspace near the attacked colonies. The hegemony force was massive, 40 ships attacking 3 defenseless worlds. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, now serving as the flagship. The ancient AI had made him temporary fleet commander. "Hegemony Fleet, this is Captain Morrison of the Terra Guard. You are attacking human colonies without cause. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The hegemony commander's reply was full of anger. "Humans, you think your old toys will save you? We outnumber you. Captain Nina Foster, commander of another awakened ship called Terra's Wrath, spoke on the fleet channel. Jake, they have 40 ships, we have 20, but these aren't just any ships. Morrison nodded. All ships engage the enemy. Protect the colonies. The battle was unlike anything in modern galactic history. The ancient human ships moved like deadly dancers, their weapons cutting through enemy shields and armor with ease. The hegemony fleet, which had seemed so powerful, found their attacks barely scratching the human vessels. In 30 minutes, it was over. Half the hegemony ships were destroyed, and the rest were fleeing in panic. Not a single human ship had been seriously damaged. Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Humanity had returned with ancient warships that made every other fleet look weak. Some species celebrated, remembering old alliances. Others feared what this meant for the balance of power. On the Galactic Council station, Supreme Counselor Thekmar called an emergency meeting. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the human situation. They cannot be allowed to keep those ships, Thekmar declared. If humans have that much power, they will dominate us all. But Velkar disagreed. The humans are not conquerors. Their ancient empire protected smaller species, they maintained peace. That was 60,000 years ago, another representative argued. These are different humans. Who knows what they will do with such power? Ambassador Steve Parker, humanity's representative, stood to speak. Honorable counselors, we did not seek this discovery. We found our heritage by accident. We want to work with the council as we always have. Then surrender the ships, Thekmar demanded. Parker shook his head. We will not surrender our protection to those who attack our colonies, but we offer partnership. Our ancient knowledge can benefit everyone. The council chamber erupted in arguments. Some species supported humanity, while others demanded action against them. The galaxy was splitting into two sides. Back on Earth, President Johnson watched the debates with growing concern. She knew that with great power came great responsibility. The question was whether humanity was ready for both. Dr. Carter sent another report from the ancient ships. Mr. President, the AIs have shared the location of the original human homeworld. It's called Terra Prime, and it's in a star system that's supposed to be empty. If we could find it, we might learn even more about our past. President Johnson made her decision. Assemble a fleet. It's time we learned the full truth about who we really are. As humanity prepared to search for its ancient homeworld, the galaxy watched nervously. The young species that had joined the council only 15 years ago was revealing itself to be something much older and more powerful. The question was what they would do with that revelation. The age of human dominance was beginning again, whether the galaxy was ready or not. The Terra Prime system appeared on the screens of the human fleet as they dropped out of hyperspace. Captain Morrison, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, commanded from the bridge of the massive ship Defiant. Around him, 50 ancient human warships held formation, their crews mixed between humans and the awakened AIs. My God, whispered Dr. Carter as she studied the sensor readings. Look at the size of that planet. Terra Prime was enormous, nearly twice the size of Earth. Around it, the remains of orbital stations and shipyards floated in space, dark and dead for thousands of years. But even in death, they were impressive. Fleet Admiral Morrison came, the voice of AI Unit 7. I am detecting massive underground installations on Terra Prime. Power sources are still active. Someone has been maintaining the facilities. Before Morrison could respond, new ships appeared on their sensors. These weren't the sleek vessels of the ancient fleet. They were different, more advanced, almost organic in their design. Unknown. Fleet, came a transmission. You have entered protected space. State your business here. Dr. Carter checked her translation equipment. Admiral, they're speaking ancient human language, but it's different, evolved. Morrison opened communications. This is Fleet Admiral Ryan Cooper of the restored Terra Guard. We are humans, returning to our homeworld. There was a long pause. Then the reply came, filled with emotion. Impossible. The children of the scattered worlds were never supposed to return. It was too dangerous. Who are you? Morrison asked. We are the Keepers. We stayed behind when the Empire fell. We have guarded Terra Prime and maintained the ancient technologies, waiting for the right time to rebuild. One of the strange ships approached the human fleet. As it got closer, Morrison could see it was beautiful, covered in patterns that seemed to move and shift. Permission to come aboard your vessel, Fleet Admiral. There is much we need to discuss. An hour later, Morrison stood in the Defiant's main conference room. Across from him sat a figure in a strange suit that covered their entire body. When they removed their helmet, Morrison gasped. The person looked human but different. Their skin had a slight blue tint, and their eyes were larger than normal. They were clearly evolved from humans, but changed by 60,000 years of separate development. I am Keeper Prime Elena Voss, the figure said. My ancestors were the scientists and guardians who remained on Terra Prime when the Empire scattered. We have been waiting for this day, but we feared it might never come. President Johnson appeared on the communication screen from Earth. Keeper Voss, this is President Kate Johnson. We're honored to meet you, but we need to understand what happened here. Elena nodded sadly. The Civil War was worse than your AIs remember, President Johnson. It wasn't just political differences. A faction of humans had developed technologies that were too dangerous. They wanted to remake all life in the galaxy according to their vision. The war to stop them nearly destroyed everything. Dr. Carter leaned forward. What kind of technologies? Weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Machines that could control other species' minds. The power to reshape matter itself. When the moderate factions realized what was happening, they chose to end the Empire rather than let it become a tool of oppression. Morrison felt a chill. Are those technologies still here? Some of them, hidden and locked away. We Keepers have spent 60,000 years making sure they stay that way. But Admiral, the galaxy is not safe. The descendants of the extremist factions still exist. They have been working in secret, waiting for humanity to return so they can reclaim what they believe is theirs. Before anyone could ask more questions, alarms began sounding. Lieutenant Ben Richards called out from his station. Admiral, massive fleet dropping out of hyperspace, over 300 ships, and they're not from any species we know. On the Yar main screen, a fleet of black ships appeared. They were clearly human in design, but wrong somehow. Their lines were too sharp, their proportions strange. Citizens of the failed empire, came a cold voice over the communications. You have led us back to Terra Prime as we hoped you would. Surrender the homeworld and its technologies to us, and we will allow you to serve under our guidance. Keeper. Elena's face went pale. The Purists. They found us. Morrison activated the fleet communications. Unknown vessels. This is Fleet Admiral Morrison. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. We are the true human empire, the rightful heirs to our ancestors' power. You primitive children from the colony worlds will bow to us or be destroyed. President Johnson's voice was firm. Admiral Morrison, protect Terra Prime and the Keepers at all costs. The battle began immediately. The Purist ships were more advanced than the ancient Terra Guard vessels, using technologies that bent space and time. Their weapons passed right through normal shields. But Morrison had advantages they didn't expect. The awakened AIs from the Terra Guard ships had been designed to fight exactly this kind of enemy. They knew the Purist technologies and how to counter them. All ships, Formation Delta 7, Morrison ordered. AIs, activate the old war protocols. The Terra Guard ships moved in patterns that seemed random, but were actually precisely calculated. Their weapons fired in sequence, creating interference patterns that disrupted the Purist technology. Captain Nina Foster, commanding Terra's Wrath, managed to destroy 2 Purist vessels with a perfectly timed attack. But her ship took heavy damage. In return, Admiral, she reported, their technology is adapting to our countermeasures. We need something they don't expect. Keeper Elena suddenly stood up. Admiral, there is something we can do, but it will reveal Terra Prime's greatest secret. What secret? The planet itself is a weapon. The core was modified during the Civil War to generate massive energy pulses. It was meant to be used only if the purists ever returned. Morrison looked at the battle raging around them. His ships were holding their own, but barely. The purists had superior numbers and technology. What would happen if we activate it? Every purist ship in the system would be disabled, but the energy pulse would also be detected across the galaxy. Every species would know that humans possess planet-killing weapons. President Johnson's voice came over the speaker. Admiral, the Galactic Council is mobilizing. They're sending fleets to contain the human threat. If we don't end this battle quickly, we'll be fighting everyone. Morrison made his decision. Keeper Elena, activate the planet weapon. Deep beneath Terra Prime's surface, ancient machines that had slept for millennia began to awaken. The planet's core, artificially modified by human science, started to pulse with impossible energies. The purist fleet suddenly found their ships losing power. One by one, they began drifting helplessly in space, their leader's voice filled with rage. This is not over, primitive ones. We have other fleets, other weapons. The true empire will not be denied. The remaining purist ships that could still move retreated into hyperspace, leaving behind dozens of disabled vessels. But Morrison's victory was short-lived. His sensors detected new fleets approaching. Council species from across the galaxy were converging on Terra Prime, led by the hegemony and several other aggressive species. Admiral, Ben Richards reported, we've got over 1,000 ships incoming. The entire galactic fleet is coming for us. Ambassador Steve Parker's voice came from the council station. Admiral, they're calling this a preemptive strike. They say humanity with planet-killing weapons is too dangerous to exist. Morrison looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Humans who had started this journey as explorers were now the most powerful and most hunted species in the galaxy. President Johnson, what are your orders? The president's voice was steady despite the impossible situation. Admiral Morrison, protect our people, protect our heritage, and show the galaxy who we really are. As the massive galactic fleet approached Terra Prime, Morrison prepared for the battle that would determine humanity's future. They had reclaimed their ancient power, but now they had to prove they deserved to keep it. The final confrontation was about to begin. The massive galactic fleet surrounded Terra Prime like an angry storm. Over 1,000 ships from dozens of species had come to face humanity. Fleet Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the enemy formations on his screens. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Ben Richards, I count 47 different species out there. The hegemony is leading them, but even some of our former allies are with them. Dr. Carter looked up from her research station. Jake, I've been analyzing the fleet compositions. They're not here just to fight us. They're here to destroy us completely. Supreme, Counselor Thekmar's voice came over the communications channel. Humans of Terra Prime, you have revealed weapons that threaten all life in the galaxy. Surrender these technologies, and we will allow your species to survive under Council supervision. President Johnson appeared on Morrison's communication screen from Earth. Behind her, he could see that humanity's homeworld was also under siege by Council fleets. Admiral, they're demanding we shut down all our ancient ships and submit to Council control. They want to treat us like a conquered species. Morrison felt anger rising in his chest. We discovered our own heritage. We defended ourselves when attacked. And now they want to punish us for being strong. Keeper Elena stood beside him, her evolved features showing worry. Admiral, the Keepers have a proposal. We've been studying the galaxy for 60,000 years. We know things the Council doesn't. There might be a way to solve this without destroying everyone. What kind of solution? Show them the truth. Not just about humanity's past, but about the galaxy's future. There are threats coming that will make our civil war look small. The Council needs us whether they admit it or not. Dr. Alex Thompson, who had been studying the ancient databases, suddenly called out from his station. Admiral, I found something important. The Wanderer databases that Velkar shared with us, combined with our ancient records, show a pattern. Every 60,000 years, something attacks this galaxy from outside. We're overdue for the next invasion. Morrison felt pieces clicking together in his mind. Elena, is this why the Keepers stayed behind? To watch for this threat? Partly. Yes, our long-range sensors have been detecting strange signals from the void between galaxies. Ships moving toward us. They'll arrive within the next 10 years. Before Morrison could respond, new alarms sounded. Captain Nina Foster's voice came from Terra's Wrath, which was positioned near the edge of the system. Admiral, something's happening. The Council fleet is moving into attack formation. It looks like they're done talking. President Johnson's face showed determination. Admiral Morrison, I'm about to make a galaxy-wide broadcast. It's time everyone knew the complete truth. Morrison watched as his president appeared on every communication screen in the system. Her message was being transmitted to every world in the galaxy. Citizens of the galaxy, President Johnson began. I am Kate Johnson, President of the Human Colonial Government. For too long, our species has been seen as newcomers, as a threat to the established order. Today, I reveal the truth. The broadcast showed images from the ancient databases, star charts of the old human empire, pictures of Terra Prime in its glory days, records of the technologies that had protected the galaxy for thousands of years. Humanity did not arrive in this galaxy 15 years ago. We have been here for over 100,000 years. We built the hyperspace routes you use. We protected the younger species as they developed. And when our empire faced corruption from within, we chose to sacrifice our power rather than become oppressors. The Council fleet hesitated as the broadcast continued. President Johnson showed them the evidence of the coming invasion, the threat that would arrive from outside the galaxy. The ancient human empire fell because we faced a choice: become tyrants or step aside. Today we face that choice again, but this time we choose a different path. Morrison received new orders from Earth. He opened communications to the entire fleet, both human and Council. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Morrison. By order of President Johnson and with the consent of the TerraGuard AIs, I am implementing Protocol Unity. Keeper Elena smiled. The old Alliance protocols. I wondered if you would remember them. Across the system, the ancient human ships began broadcasting on frequencies that hadn't been used in 60,000 years. They were sending technical data, star charts, and historical records directly to the Council fleet. To our former allies, Morrison announced, we offer you what we offered before: partnership, protection, and the knowledge needed to face what's coming. Velkar's voice came from the Wanderer ships in the Council fleet. My friends, I have verified their data. The invasion signals are real. We face extinction if we fight each other instead of the true threat. But Supreme Counselor Thekmar was not convinced. Tricks and lies. The humans seek to manipulate us with fear. The hegemony fleet began moving toward Terra Prime, weapons charging. Morrison had to make a choice. He could destroy them with the planet weapon, but that would prove their fears about human power. Instead, he chose to trust. All TerraGuard ships, stand down weapons. Do not fire unless fired upon. Admiral, that's suicide, Nina Foster protested. No, Nina, it's faith. The hegemony ships opened fire on the defenseless human vessels. But something unexpected happened. Ships from other Council species moved to intercept the attacks. The Wanderers, the Crystalline Collective, even some former enemies began protecting the human fleet. Enough, came a new voice. It was Council Speaker Jordan, leader of the moderate faction. Thekmar, you have overstepped your authority. The Council did not vote for genocide. The battle stopped as quickly as it had started. Ships that had been ready to destroy each other now floated in uncertain peace. President Johnson's voice filled the silence. Speaker Jordan, we propose a new galactic treaty. Not Council dominance over humanity, or human dominance over the Council. True partnership. Equal voices for all species, with humanity taking its place as a founder of galactic civilization. Morrison watched as representatives from dozens of species began communicating with each other. The moderate voices were growing stronger, while the extremists found themselves isolated. Dr. Thompson called out from his station. Admiral, we're receiving activation codes from Terra Prime. The Keepers are awakening additional facilities across the galaxy. Ship construction yards, research stations, defensive platforms. Everything needed to prepare for the invasion. Over the next few hours, a new order began to take shape. The Galactic Council was reformed as the Galactic Alliance, with humanity taking its place as one of the founding members. Ancient human territories were restored, but with protections for all species that had settled there. The hegemony and their extremist allies found themselves outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Some submitted to the new order. Others retreated to distant space, vowing to continue their resistance. Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant as the great fleets began to disperse. Some ships stayed to help with the massive project of preparing for the coming invasion. Others returned to their worlds to share the news of humanity's return. "Admiral Morrison," came the voice of AI Unit 7. "The Terra Guard fleets are fully operational. 237 major vessels, plus support ships and defensive platforms. We are ready to protect the galaxy once again." Dr. Carter approached Morrison with a datapad. "Jake, we've been analyzing the invasion signals. Whatever's coming, it's big. Much larger than the forces that attacked 60,000 years ago." Morrison nodded. "But this time we won't face it alone. The whole galaxy is working together." President Johnson appeared on the screen one final time. "Admiral, I'm promoting you to Grand Admiral of the Galactic Defense Force. Your job is to prepare our combined fleets for what's coming." As Terra Prime began to glow with renewed activity, Morrison felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Humanity had reclaimed its place among the stars, but that was only the beginning. The real test would come when the invasion arrived. "All ships," Morrison announced to the mixed fleet around him, "set course for the galaxy's edge. We have a civilization to defend and an enemy to face. The age of unity begins now." The great ships of the Galactic Alliance turned toward the void between galaxies, where ancient sensors had detected the approaching threat. Humanity had awakened not just its own heritage, but the galaxy's as well. Together, they would face whatever darkness was coming. The story of humanity's return was complete, but the story of the galaxy's future was just beginning, and this time they would write it together.